Have you ever felt that no matter how much you help certain people, it's never enough? You donate, you lend a hand, you do everything, but in the end you're left exhausted and discouraged, receiving nothing in return. The truth is, not everyone deserves your help. Insisting on helping the wrong people can destroy your peace, energy, and even your life. The great masters of Stoicism understood this well. They knew that helping the wrong person isn't kindness, it's wastefulness. Today, you'll discover 9 types of people you must always say no to. If you don't learn this now, you may end up trapped in manipulation, ingratitude, and emotional exhaustion. Stay with me until the end, because this might be the most liberating lesson you learn today. And if this content resonates with you, subscribe to the channel. Here you'll learn how to live wisely and never be deceived again by those unworthy of your help. Person number 1. The hater who never celebrates your success. They never genuinely smile when you win. They might pretend to be happy, but deep down something inside them burns. The envious person doesn't want what's theirs, they want what's yours. Envy is a silent poison. It doesn't reveal itself immediately. At first, the envious person seems like a friend and ally, but over time, small signs emerge. The glance that looks away when you shine, the silence where applause should be, the veiled criticism disguised as advice. They'll never openly say they want you to fail, but they secretly hope you stumble. Stoicism teaches us not to rely on others' approval, but it's hard to ignore when someone who should stand by you dismisses your success. Worse, when they try to undermine it. The envious don't attack directly. They sabotage from the shadows. They plant doubt in your mind, making you question whether you deserve your achievements. They say things like, "You were just lucky. It wasn't that hard, was it?" These small wounds added together can destroy your self-confidence. But here's the truth. Envy isn't about you. It reveals the other person's inability to confront their own failures. The envious aren't angry at you, they're frustrated with themselves. They see your success as a mirror because deep down they wanted to be like you but lacked the courage to do what you did. That's why you should never try to prove anything to them. Don't dim your light to make them feel better. Don't over-explain. Don't apologize for winning. Just keep going. The Stoics knew they couldn't control others' emotions, but they could control their own stance. The best response to envy is silence and walking away. Person number 2. The gossip imagines sitting at a table sharing coffee with someone who seems trustworthy. Gradually, the conversation takes an unexpected turn. They start revealing others' secrets, sharing details of people's lives with enthusiasm. At first, it seems harmless, even entertaining. But soon, an uncomfortable truth emerges. If they're talking to you about others, what are they saying about you to others? The gossip is an illusionist. They create a false sense of camaraderie, offering exclusive information. But in reality, they're sowing seeds of distrust, fueling a cycle of misinformation and drama. Rarely is their motive innocent. They seek power, control, and above all, distraction. After all, it's easier to talk about others' lives than to face your own flaws. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control. Gossip is the opposite. If you participate, even as a listener, you become part of the problem. Today they talk about others. Tomorrow they might spin stories about you, twisting truths to stay relevant. Gossip is corrosive. It destroys relationships, breeds conflict, and spreads mistrust. How many friendships have been broken by misinterpreted words? How many bonds have collapsed because someone chose to spread rumors instead of seeking the truth? Deep down, the gossip doesn't just harm others, they slowly destroy themselves. Their credibility evaporates over time. When they finally need genuine trust, they'll find no one believes them anymore. The Stoic response is clear. Silence is golden. Refusing to feed gossip is an act of discipline and strength. Not engaging with poison is true self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that we're responsible for our actions, and indulging gossip lets others' weaknesses dictate our lives. The best way to deal with gossips isn't confrontation or attempts to change them. It's walking away. Your presence gives power to their words. When no one listens, gossip loses its force and silence becomes the strongest reply. Person number 3. The manipulator. They arrive quietly with a smile, sweet words, and promises. At first, they seem like a trustworthy friend, someone who genuinely cares, but over time, something feels off. You feel burdened, uneasy, and obligated to fulfill their requests. Before you know it, you're unsure whether your choices are truly yours or crafted by them. The manipulator doesn't yell, demand, or force. They lead like a puppeteer, pulling the right strings to make you feel special and indispensable. They know exactly what to say to trigger your guilt, your need for approval, or your fear of disapproval. And so, you surrender again and again until helping them becomes more important than caring for yourself. Worse, when you start realizing the trap is already set. They've convinced you that without them you're nothing, that your loyalty is a debt, that refusing them is betrayal. You hesitate because part of you still wants to believe they care. But the hard truth? They never wanted your friendship, affection, or help. They wanted control. Marcus Aurelius said we must act justly but never be enslaved to others' wills. The manipulator doesn't ask for help, they extract it. If you keep surrendering, you'll one day realize you lack the strength to even help yourself. Stop. Ask, does every favor feel like an obligation? Is gratitude never given? Does guilt haunt you when you try to say no? If so, it's time to cut the invisible strings holding you back. In the end, no one can manipulate a person who fully knows their own worth. Person number 4. The lazy. Imagine someone who constantly asks for help but never lifts a finger to change their reality. Have you met someone like this? They complain about life, hardships, and lack of opportunities. Yet when given a push, they retreat to the same spot. Laziness isn't just inaction. It's the repeated choice to avoid effort, hide behind excuses, and flee the discomfort required for growth. The lazy don't want solutions, they want saviors. They don't seek to learn, they seek shortcuts. They don't need help, they need accountability. Stoicism teaches that every person is responsible for their own journey. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, betrayals, and challenges that could have paralyzed him. But he realized humanity's greatest enemy isn't external. It's the fear of pain, the aversion to effort, and the relentless pursuit of comfort that shackles the soul. So here's what happens. You see someone fall and extend your hand. You offer your time, energy, and wisdom, but the truth? The lazy don't want your help to rise, they want you to carry them. And no matter how many times you try to pull them up, they'll always find a reason to slide back down. Laziness is poison disguised as fragility. It wears the mask of victimhood, bad luck, and unfair circumstances. But at its core, it's just a choice. The choice to stay stagnant. The choice to evade responsibility. The choice to cling to others' kindness without reciprocation. Epictetus said no one progresses without discipline, without confronting their struggles, without owning their life. Those who refuse this don't need rescuing, they need a reality check. Often that shock comes in the form of withdrawal, when you stop helping, when you say no, when you refuse to enable their inertia. You're offering the only help that truly matters, the chance for them to finally take responsibility for their destiny. So if you encounter the lazy, don't carry their weight. Don't deprive them of the one thing that can change them: accountability. The greatest compassion you can show is letting them feel the weight of their choices. Because only those who learn to walk alone discover the strength they've always had. Person number 5, the ungrateful. Have you ever connected with someone, offered help, devoted your time and energy, even sacrificed something important, only to receive emptiness in return? No acknowledgement, no gratitude, just the sense that your generosity was wasted? The ungrateful are experts at making your help seem like an obligation. At first, they present their need, request assistance, and make you feel indispensable. And perhaps they are. But the truth? Your help holds no real value to them. No matter what you do, it'll never be enough. They don't thank you because deep down they believe you owe them more. Marcus Aurelius taught that we should do good without expecting anything in return. But practicing virtue is one thing. Allowing yourself to be exploited is another. Stoicism calls for kindness and wisdom. Helping those who don't appreciate it isn't generosity, it's wastefulness. You're investing energy into a bottomless pit where nothing grows and no effort bears fruit. The ungrateful don't just ignore your help, they demand more. Often they forget what you've already done and focus only on what you haven't. If you ever refuse, they feel insulted. If you set boundaries, they accuse you of changing. The same person you helped becomes your critic, guilting you for not giving more. But here's the truth. You're not the problem. You don't owe your life to anyone. You don't need to exhaust yourself for acceptance or shrink yourself for validation. The ungrateful don't deserve your help because they don't recognize its worth, and what isn't valued isn't worthy. True wisdom isn't in limitless giving, but in knowing when to stop. When you realize you're facing someone who drains your energy without even a simple thank you, it's time to walk away. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Your energy, kindness, and time are too precious to waste on those who don't understand their value. Person number 6, the opportunist. They always appear with a smile, sweet words, and a friendly tone. They know exactly what to say to win your sympathy, pretending to genuinely care. At first you believe them. After all, helping those in need is an act of generosity, right? But over time, something feels wrong. You realize they're only present when they want something. They vanish when you need support. Their messages never ask how you are, only for favors. And once they get what they want, they disappear without a backward glance. Worse, they weaponize your kindness. I thought we were friends. You know I need this. You can't say no to me now. They turn your generosity into a prison. But is this friendship? Does this person truly value you or just what they can take from you? Stoicism teaches us to help others, but not at the cost of our peace or dignity. Real friendship is built on mutual exchange and respect, not utility. When someone only shows up to exploit, they're not a friend, they're an opportunist, a burden disguised as company. Life teaches that some doors must close, not out of hatred, but self-love. Anyone who's only there when they need you will never truly be there for you. The best lesson? Don't fear saying no. The moment you stop being useful to them, their true colors will show. Person number 7, the one who never learns. Some people ask for help but resist change. They suffer regret and claim to be stuck in a cycle of mistakes. Yet even after you intervene, they repeat them. You patiently offer better paths, advice, and guidance, but nothing helps. They nod, agree, and say they understand, only to make the same errors the next day as if they'd heard nothing. It's infuriating. You give your best, but it's like talking to a wall. No matter how many warnings or explanations you provide, they choose the wrong path, return to the same problems, and still play the victim. The truth? They don't want to learn, they want to vent. They seek momentary relief from guilt, then revert to old habits. The Stoics taught that wisdom isn't advising those who won't listen, it's knowing where to invest your energy. If someone refuses to learn, that's their choice, not your burden. Life exacts a heavy price from those who repeat mistakes. Suffering, frustration, failure. And when everything crumbles, they'll return to you, begging for more help. But how long will you carry someone who refuses to change? This isn't about abandoning the needy. It's realizing some people only learn when repetition's pain becomes unbearable. And when that happens, they must choose. You can offer direction, but you can't walk their path. The best way to help those who refuse to learn? Let life teach them. Person number 8, the toxic. Have you met someone who seems to suck the energy from every room? They carry a dark cloud, complaining about everything, criticizing everyone, and seeing no solutions. Worse, they're oblivious to the harm they cause. You try to help, offer advice, and show another way, but nothing changes. In fact, the more you try, the more you drown together. The problem never resolves. The complaints never end. The negativity is infinite. Stoicism urges us to guard our peace. Marcus Aurelius said the mind must be an impenetrable fortress, but keeping a toxic person around invites chaos inside. At first, it seems harmless. You listen, comfort, and try to brighten their darkness. But soon you absorb their energy. The world feels heavier. Problems seem larger. Life grows harder. Then you realize this person doesn't want to improve. They reject solutions, growth, and change because their identity is tied to toxicity. They feed on drama, thrive on negativity, and grow stronger through complaints. Epictetus warned to avoid those who corrupt our souls, not out of selfishness, but wisdom. You can't change someone who refuses to, and if you insist, you might become what you swore to avoid. If such a person exists in your life, do yourself a favor. Protect your peace. Your energy is too precious to waste on those who'll never seek light. Person number 9, the professional victim. This person frames everything as persecution. Life could offer endless chances to change, but they cling to suffering, blaming others for the pit they dug themselves. At first, you empathize. We all struggle. You extend a hand, offer support, and suggest alternatives, but nothing changes. They don't want an exit, they want an audience. They feed on attention, dramatizing their misery to paint themselves as powerless victims of a cruel fate. The trap? When you help, you don't realize the game. Slowly, the relationship drains you. Every encouragement meets an excuse. Every suggestion justifies their stagnation. And if you distance yourself, you're cast as the villain, another heartless person who didn't understand. The truth? Some people don't want to grow. Maturity requires accountability, and accountability means leaving victimhood behind. Stoicism teaches that while we can't control what happens, we control our response. The professional victim rejects this because owning their life means surrendering blame. You'll realize enabling such a person isn't kindness, it's complicity and stagnation. You're not saving them. You're reinforcing the narrative that traps them. Worse, you're exhausting yourself emotionally for someone who doesn't want freedom. There's a difference between those who need support and those who perform suffering. The former accept help and seek change. The latter crave attention and spectators. Withdrawing from those who refuse help isn't coldness, it's clarity. While you waste time on them, you might overlook someone truly fighting to stand again. Final lesson. If these teachings resonate, tell me in the comments. Help or walk away. I want your thoughts. And if you want more content that opens your mind and clarifies life, subscribe now and hit the bell. Many valuable lessons await.